Thank you, Senator Gianaris. Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you to everyone. So I'm kind of laughing. Senator Gianaris said 11:15, and I know he believed it at the time that it would be 11:15. And it just shows you how we're like Pavlovian, right? We are all cheering like, oh, the message is here. And I'm saying, wait, it's all his fault. We shouldn't have to wait that long. But we did, and it's here. See, yes, okay. I have seen this movie once or twice, and it's never fun watching or being in it. So anyway, I know we're closing up, and I wanted to offer some thoughts, and I want to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I particularly want to thank Leader Stewart Cousins for being gracious to me all the time, and I don't lose sight of that. So the notion that I can stand here and make comments on behalf of the people in our conference is something that gives me humility and gratitude at the same time. And, you know, I was walking around the halls today like everybody else, and I'm going to start from sort of the ground level. It's been a long day, and I know myself that I've walked around the building, and this place is not only beautiful, it's immaculate. With thousands of people traipsing through here every day, I know myself, I probably use the restroom 7, 8, 9 times today, and the folks are in there working, making sure this place is clean, and making it a nice place for us and the people who visit. So when I think of the staff, I don't just think of the people who happen to be in this chamber at this moment. And you know, they're all here and they're all healthy. So to the staff, in a generic sense, I want to say thank you for the work that they do to make this place beautiful. And I'm still in awe, after all these years, being able to walk through the halls in this Capitol. And I find myself enjoying it the most on a Sunday night, if I happen to come in and really nobody's here, and just seeing the beauty and splendor of this Capitol. And we all know we have one of the most beautiful state capitals in the entire country, and we shouldn't lose sight of that. And I don't think the people in this room do. So from a staff perspective, you know, we're all very lucky. And I want to start with the majority. And I want to thank, I don't see her as much, but she's there and she's smiling and she is like doing great. Exhausted, but doing great. Chantel, I want to say hello. I want to thank you. And by extension, I know some, Nick and Jess, you've been sitting there all along, but Nick, Jess, Kenan, Eric, you all do great work on behalf of the members that you represent. And I know, Eric, you've played a pivotal role in making sure that our members were properly informed and properly treated. It does not go unnoticed. And for that, I know we are all grateful. And by extension, they seemingly are staff, but they are also members in this body. Senator Gianaris has done a superb job, and he has worked extraordinarily well with our colleagues and with Senator Griffo. So, Mike, to you, Senator Gianaris, to you respectfully, thank you for helping make sure that we could actually get the people's business done and that we are acting in a timely capacity. Senator Benjamin, I've said this to you before, I'll say it again publicly, you distinguish yourself by how you help run the chamber. And I know it's not always easy. Senator Griffo did it for a long time. I actually did it for a while as well. And the smooth flow in terms of how things get done, it's seamless, and sometimes the people who come here don't realize it. Senator Griffo, of course, has been more than I could have ever asked for as a colleague, as a friend, and as our floor leader. He has a combination of humility. He has a sassiness to him when it's appropriate. He has a great sense of humor, and he knows all the rules. So he knows where to push forward and to pull back, and I don't think that's lost on anybody. So I think I'm on solid ground by saying we collectively as a body deserve credit for doing the people's business in a timely fashion. From our side of the aisle, we have great staff. We don't have as many staff as we used to have, but you know, we got great staff. You all know that, and that's okay, because that's the way of the world. So Sean McKinnon, our finance team, Sean has been around a long time, as many of you know. Sean McKinnon, Joe Messina, Scott Reef, Joe Conway, Morgan and Ben, and Morgan and Ben, and Morgan and Ben for all their work on the floor. They help us get our business done. And Joe has been a gem. You all know him for a long period of time. I see Eric shaking his head. He's nodding in assent, not going the other way. But Joe has really been fantastic in helping get things done in our chamber here. For me personally, I mentioned a number of our staff, had an opportunity to speak with them individually, and we had the opportunity to bring back from semi-retirement, Madam Secretary, I forgot to recognize your yeoman-like efforts on behalf of keeping the lights on, keeping the place running. Very helpful to all of us. You have worked very well with our team, including Frank Patience, who is still revered by many here. I was very grateful to have him come back, and our support staff. And in my office, I'm going to take the liberty of talking about Robin Muller, who's been around for a long time, and many of you know who she is. She does a fantastic job just making people feel good, simply making people feel good and welcome. Peter Mooney has been with me for a very long time, and Carl Mills is floating around here somewhere, right back there. So we all have our lists, and I know what my list looks like, and I'm very grateful to everyone that I work with. Now, I also want to congratulate our new members, the 17 new members in this body. And yes, you have 15, we have 2, but we have 17 new members, and I am grateful to every one of you who took the time to put your name out there, your reputation, your work ethic, and you succeeded. And you deserve plaudits and applause for that. And coming here to Albany, and for people who haven't worked here before, it can be overwhelming. Senator Jordan, one of our new colleagues, worked here as staff. It's vastly different when you come in as a member. Without an iota of disrespect to the staff, it's vastly different when you come in as a member. Now, we've had some very poignant debates over the last couple of weeks, even the last couple of days. And I want to highlight qualities of being a public servant. Not from an elected standpoint, but from a staff standpoint. There's a whole bevy of people here who help run this place. Now, I watched the other night, I watched Senator Sepulveda debate the driver's license bill. And I watched him, but I saw the passion and the dedication of the staff that was swarming behind him. And you know what? It's daunting. It is tough. And for our seasoned staff, it's one thing. When you have new, young staff who come in with full of vim and vigor and enthusiasm, we should be embracing that. Because they are our leaders, and you all will be our future leaders here, not only at the staff level, but some of you are going to run for office. Daphne Jordan ran for office. I'm very grateful, and we should all be very grateful that we have people like that. So we are blessed on so many different levels for competent people, and having that new blood goes a long way. And in this chamber, this is a hotbed of ideas. This is a place for an exchange of ideas and honest debate back and forth. And lately, it's been a little tougher. It's been a little tougher because you have strong ideas and we have strong ideas. And each of us is doing our due diligence and passionately representing the people that elected us to come here to the Senate. So I think of basic words: respect, decorum, civility, true and earnest debate, and there should be nothing wrong with that. Anyone in this chamber, I'm looking at Diane Savino, she is now never going to be a shrinking violet. And you know what? That's great. But I should be able to have a debate with her, go at it, and then walk out and smile and shake hands and give each other a hug. And that's the type of thing that I think we need to demonstrate to the people who come here and lobby. And I want to make sure that we really do focus on that, because how we do things in here is a reflection of what happens outside. We need to demonstrate to the people who come here that they should be giving respect and decorum and civility to everybody in this chamber, staff and members. I saw people this year under siege, and on occasion I didn't think that was appropriate. But I just think we need to be mindful of how important it is to make sure that this chamber is a hallowed place. It doesn't make us special. Doesn't make John Flanagan special at all. But the notion that we can come here in a democracy and have this free exchange of ideas, that's something we should never, ever lose sight of. And when I think about what has happened this year, I do want to talk about some specific things and then a broader thing, and then I promise I will wrap up my remarks. Going back, this is my 33rd session. And when I know the word history has been used on multiple occasions, and that's okay. So from a historical perspective, I want to recognize Senator Montgomery, and I want to recognize Senator Laval. And you know what? I say that with reverence. I absolutely say that with reverence. The longest serving member in your conference, the longest serving member in our conference, and the Dean of the New York State Senate. And you know what? That's a badge that he should wear proudly. Senator Montgomery, you deserve those accolades as well. And I think after that, Senator Seward and I are probably next in terms of seniority. I haven't spent my whole career here, but I still am very, very grateful to be able to serve as a public servant. And for me, I want to express to everybody how proud I am to work with you and how lucky I am to be a member of this body. I missed the beginning of the year, and Senator Griffo did monumental work on behalf of the people here. And I missed it physically, but I also missed it mentally. But the good news is, I was able to come back. And I don't know if I could properly express to all of you how much that means. And you know what? You all know this. I'm not saying this to be a wise guy. I'd like to still be sitting there. But there was a bigger plan. And I'm comfortable being here, very proud to work with my colleagues and deliver the message that we think we need to. So I have always felt a sense of gratitude. This year in particular, keeping things in perspective and recognizing that life can be fleeting and short. So if we're here, by God, let's make the best of what the heck we're doing. So I think where we are from our conference's standpoint is we're at a time that we have strong philosophical differences. And I think I'm confident about some of the things that Senator Stewart-Cousins will say about historical things that occurred this year. And you would be right. It's historic that you're in the majority. It's historic that you are the new leader on so many different levels. And the people decided that's the way it was going to be in the state of New York. We have an obligation to govern along with you. We have an obligation to keep your feet to the fire. We have an obligation to just passionately represent the people that sent us here. So when I look back to the beginning of the year, I think we had a major lost opportunity with Amazon. 25,000 jobs, $27 billion in revenue. But I'm going to bring these things up in fairness because I'm not casting it at anybody. I'm bringing up issues that I think matter, because when I go home, there are certain things that I want to talk to people about in terms of what our priorities are and what our philosophy is. So yes, in my opinion, that was a lost opportunity. And there was landmark legislation passed, some of which I agreed with, and others that I very strongly and vehemently disagreed with. In terms of the budget, there were tax increases. Every tax that came up was passed. There were no tax cuts. We don't think there was appropriate economic development. We don't think there was enough done to create jobs in the state of New York. And it's not like I'm saying this as a case of first impression, because Senator Stewart-Cousins knows I've said this all along. You all have disagreed, but we're going to sort of stake out our claim. So in terms of priorities, we feel like some of the things that we used to go for have not been given the requisite attention that they should. For example, there's no state spending cap. That's something we passed every year. And I've listened to a lot of people talk about the property tax cap, and I heard people saying, well, we should be thanking you. In reality, the person who started the property tax cap debate was George Pataki. George Pataki proposed a STAR program with the property tax cap. People forget that. And we fought to get that, passing it every year, passing the spending cap. And I will say, I am very happy that the property tax cap has been made permanent. That saves billions of dollars for taxpayers all across the state, but I think we played a pivotal role in getting that across the finish line. And the governor wasn't on board originally, but he did come around. That's good for your conference, that's good for our taxpayers, and I think those are things that we should be paying attention to. You know, and then just on criminal justice, in the last couple of days, we had some significant debates. And I'm going to repeat, I don't doubt the sincerity of our colleagues whatsoever. But when we pass a resolution saying that we're going to reduce sentences for 17,000 people for drug-related offenses, that's not what I believe in. That's not what my constituents believe in. And I thought 17,000 was a lot until we did the bill today on the decriminalization of marijuana, and I understand some of the parts of that bill. But now we're talking about reducing sentences for well over hundreds of thousands of people. I don't think that's what the constituents that I represent want, and I think when I say that, I'm reflecting the values of the people in our conference. On criminal justice, we just simply don't believe that the focus was enough on victims. I respect the fervor and the passion associated with what you've advanced in terms of criminal justice reform, the bail issues, the general reform issues, fighting for things on issues like solitary confinement, which has not happened. But nonetheless, we are at a different position, and our orientation is just not the same as the one that this majority represents. And we're going to keep pushing, and we're going to have those disagreements, and we're going to see where the people end up. But when I go home, I want to be able to talk straight to the people I represent. The last two things that I want to say, you know, I could talk about things like the DREAM Act and other things like that, but I'm going to focus on two last things. Rent control was lauded by the majority on so many different levels. That is not good public policy, in my opinion. Not in the short term, but in the long term, I think it's going to be even worse. And I know a number of you saying, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm giving you my informed judgment and my informed opinion by listening to a lot of the people that I work with. So I think permanentizing rent control is just not good for the people that we represent. And I've said this before, I want everyone's district. I'm looking at Senator Kenney. If people are doing well in your district, that's good for Jose Serrano, and that's good for me. So I don't lose sight of that. But rent control, that's tough. And I think in the last day, when we did the farm workers bill, that was a big one. That was a really, really big one for the members of our conference. And I just, again, think it's a reflection of where we are. And I don't want to paint for 1 second a picture that this is us versus them or you versus us. It's a core set of ideas that we're just going to strive to continue to bring forward. Do we want to talk about tax cuts? Yes. Do we believe in investments in education and highway infrastructure and the environment? Of course we do. But how do we get there? So when we go home, I want to be able to talk to my constituents, and my colleagues want to be able to talk to our constituents about what happened in Albany. And yes, it is historic, but I don't think all of it's good. I don't think it's all good for the people that we represent. And I will just close by saying again, thank you to the leader. Thank you to all of you for taking the time to listen to me. I know a lot of you don't agree with some of the things I said, but I'm never going to equivocate in terms of where we are. As I said, a hotbed of ideas and exchange, real debate, and we'll let the public decide as we move forward whether you're right or whether we're right. And I am grateful to be with all of you. Safe travels, a healthy, productive summer for everyone, and God willing, we'll run into each other, but we won't see each other until January. Okay. Well, okay. Leader Stewart-Cousins, thank you. Mr. President, thank you.